Your first leader choices in Warcraft Rumble can really make your game easier or harder, depending on what you choose. So that's why I'm gonna share with you my top 3 personal leader choices and their talents to help you get a smooth and good start and choose a good leader to begin your game with. The first option, and the one that I actually personally picked myself, is Rend Blackhand. He is a leader of the Blackrock faction and he rides these badass dragons, and there's a couple of reasons that makes him a really good and viable and strong leader to choose, especially for new players while they are figuring out how the game works. First of all, he has the dismount trait, which means basically that you will get 2 units in the same package, and when you play him he will start riding his dragon, which will deal a huge elemental fire breath damage. And once the dragon is eventually killed, he will then jump off and continue as a walking melee type of unit who is still strong and capable of dealing extreme damage to enemy units, enemy towers, and even the enemy bosses as well. So he's kind of that one-man army type of unit, which is really cool, and he's really convenient and easy to use because of that. That's why he's really solid pick as your first leader while you are trying to figure out how the game works, because he can truly hold on his own. He costs 6 gold to play, which is kinda on the heavy side, but then when you think you will get 2 units at the price of 1, it's actually not that bad. And while Rend is in play, your other flying troops will also cost 1 less gold to play, so you can also kinda use that as your advantage, be able to play more troops on the board than your opponent and securing the upper hand in that way. And being able to play more gold is truly one of the most important ways you can outplay your opponent, and you can overwhelm your opponent and win the battles. Now, once you can upgrade him to uncommon and are able to unlock talents for him, out of 3 options there's basically 2 you can choose from depending on which you kinda like more, and the choices are Scale and Steel and the Flaming Soul. Now, Scale and Steel is the more popular one, and it will hugely boost the survivability of your Rend, making him live longer and being able to deal more damage while he is on the board. And what the trait does is, while alive, the dragon will get resistant, which will make him take 50% less elemental damage, and while he is on foot he will have armored, which will increase his physical damage reduction by 50%. And now those are huge numbers, so it's clear that this makes Rend so much harder for your enemies to kill, and that's why it's a really solid talent to pick for your first talent for Rend. Now, on the other hand, the Flaming Soul can also be useful depending on the situation, and what it does is when Rend's dragon dies, when he dismounts from it, he will cast Living Bomb at his location to the surrounding enemies. Now, Living Bomb is a spell that will place a bomb inside all the enemies affected, making them take huge elemental damage after a short while, and I actually picked this talent for myself as my talent choice first, and I've been having so much fun with it. Like, in so many cases, Rend has been going against a huge horde of enemies. His dragon has died, he has dismounted from the dragon, and that Flaming Soul Living Bomb has just absolutely annihilated all those monsters, giving him time to advance further, taking out those towers or maybe kill some tougher enemy. The bomb can easily be used to take out the flying enemies, which would otherwise kill Rend because he can't hit flying enemies anymore once he has dismounted from his dragon. So I feel like those are both really viable choices as your first talent. Remember, you can only use 1 talent at a time, so really think which one would you want. You will eventually be able to unlock the second one as well, but that will be much later in the game. Now, if you don't have Rend as your starting option, as a leader option to choose from, we have 2 more left to go, so let's go check out the next one. The second option we have is an extremely strong and great leader, one of the best leaders in the game for sure. He is Baron Rivendare, leader of the Undead faction, and if you get to choose him as a beginning leader, you really can't go wrong with this guy. He's super strong. While he is riding a horse, unlike Rend, he doesn't have the dismount trait, so once he dies he doesn't continue as a foot soldier, so there's only 1 unit in this leader, and that doesn't mean he's any worse because he's a tank. He has high health and also he's armored, which means he have a high physical damage reduction, which makes him a really tough one to kill. And one of the most basic, simplest strategies, and strategy that is scarily effective, is, especially for your early game, that you place a tank unit, like Baron for example, in the front, and then you just place some ranged units, area of damage units behind the tank, and the tank will soak up all the damage enemies will give, and the ranged unit will just kill everything in front of them, and that will really, well, I would say secure most of your early game victories pretty easily. And that's only the tip of the iceberg of what makes Baron such a great leader to pick. He has the passive ability called the Army of the Dead, which will summon 3 skeletons for you from the buildings you control throughout the game every now and then. So that means you will be getting free units on the board throughout the game, and that's a really good thing. And now you might think, what's the big deal? A few weak skeletons won't do anything worthwhile anyway, and that's not actually true, because they will spawn in multiple lanes. They will create some of that multi-lane pressure, and once they are going on lanes that you are not focusing, they can be able to do a bunch of useful things. They can capture meeting stones, they can capture chests for you, and they can also harass the enemy kobolds, denying your enemy to be able to mine gold so easily. And that's a really strong thing to do if you can manage that. And at the very least, it will force your enemy to focus some resources on countering those skeletons somehow, so that can also ease up the pressure on the lane that you are actively pushing. So that's a really strong passive ability, even though it doesn't really sound like that at first. And it only gets better once you can upgrade Baron to uncommon and unlock talents for him. Now the best talent to choose is by far the Chill of the Grave. Now Chill of the Grave will turn those weak warrior skeletons you are getting from the free spawns into skeleton mages, and the skeleton mages, they have ranged attack. And once they hit the enemy, they will slow down the enemy's movement and attack speed. Now this will give you so much control. All of a sudden they are really good backline support units for your main armies, and they can still do the same jobs they were doing as a warriors, like capturing stuff and harassing the enemy kobolds and everything like that. And remember, they are free, so that's by far the best talent you can pick for Baron. Now the third and final leader pick is the old Murk-eye, and I was a little hesitant on choosing him for this video for your first leader options, but he's such a strong leader that you would have just felt wrong to leave him out. And once you learn some of the basics of the game, he's one of the best leaders by far, so leaving him out would have been just such a cruelty to do. Now he's the leader of the Beast faction, and he's a ranged leader, which makes him quite fragile. He will die easily, and that can make him look like weak because he can't achieve much on his own compared to the other two options we just went through. And while that might be true, his true strength lies in the passive ability he has, which is the March of the Murlocs. Now for 5 seconds after deploying the old Murk-eye, you will, for every gold you spend during that time frame, you will spawn a free Murloc Tidehunter from your base. So free units, just like with Baron, with a different gimmick, but free units nevertheless. Now Tidehunters are ranged units. They are pretty fragile, they die pretty easily, but if you can spawn them behind a tanky unit that will soak up the damage, they can be so good at dealing damage from the backlines. And what makes them even better is that they will spawn on multiple lanes, creating a strong multi-lane pressure against your opponent. And like with Baron, they can be used to capture meeting stone, capture chests, destroy enemy kobolds, but also they are able to deal pretty good damage on their own, forcing your opponent to react, spend gold, thinning his lines on multiple lanes, allowing you to pressure more the lane you wanna actively push. And that's a really huge strategy. Now the talent I 100% recommend for Murk-eye is the Marathon of the Murlocs, which will upgrade his passive ability. It will give you March of the Murlocs an additional 5 seconds more time for you to deploy units after playing Murk-eye. That means you can spend more gold during that time frame. That means you can spawn more Murloc Tidehunters. And even better, if within that time frame, if you can mine gold from veins or can open chests to get extra gold, it will allow you to spend even more gold getting even more Murlocs. And if you can really time that correctly, you can create such a huge tide of Murlocs that can truly change the course of the battlefield and wash over your enemies. So those are my picks for you, and next I will recommend you to watch this video. I thank you so much for watching that one. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I wish you good fortune in your battles to come. So see you next time, my friends. Laku out.